Welcome to PEAC, Train Like a Girl, a podcast by girls in sport, for girls and coaches in sport. We are so glad you are here. We absolutely love sharing the stories of other females in sport with you, and we enjoy the conversations that we get to have both on and off the podcast from feedback you are giving us. The easiest thing you can do to help us keep growing is make sure you are sharing with female athletes and coaches you love. Danielle, welcome to your second week on the pod.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Henry. I'm so happy to be back and to be settled here. And we have a great guest today, so I'm pumped to share with the world who we brought today.
Same. I know it's the end of May, which I can't believe. I have a couple favorite times a year, and this is kind of, we're moving into playoff for women's lacrosse, which is super exciting, and state for track. And so it's like almost my favorite time of year, except for when we move into cross country and basketball. How about you? Is it just me, or is the excitement in the air?
I feel the electricity. I feel the same about May. It's like the time of closing up, but then the time of everything also popping off. So I will be attending the state meet this weekend for Illinois for track and field, and cannot wait to see the ultimate talent that will be presented on that field and the track. It's just truly a delight to be surrounded by such hard work, and it inspires me every year.
Agreed. Yeah, I get to go to the Final Four at Northwestern for women's lacrosse on Friday, and then heading to the state tournament on Saturday, and then back for the the national playoffs on Sunday at Northwestern. So I feel like I'm like living my very, very best life. Yeah, let's do it though. Let's introduce our next guest. I have to tell you that one of the benefits of having Danielle be part of the pod is that she gets to introduce me to fabulous humans who are giving of their time and energy to be on the pod. So Caley, thank you so much for being here, and we would love for you to get warmed up with us. Are you ready?
I'm ready, ladies. Thank you for having me on. I love the idea. I love Danielle, so I'm really appreciative of your time and grateful to be able to share my story a little bit and anything I can do to pique the interest of any young athletes out there, specifically the ladies.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yes. All right. Cat or dog?
Oh boy, definitely dog. No question. Seriously allergic to cats, unfortunately.
Dog?
I have a dog. I have an 85-pound lab named Billy. He's a fox red lab, and he's lovely.
Love that. All right. Vanilla or chocolate?
Chocolate. Never done vanilla in my life. I don't like it. I'm chocolate through and through.
I love that. I love that you're convicted about it. All right. Blow dry or air dry your hair?
Oh, goodness. I just can't air dry it as often as I'd like to. Blow dry preferably, especially with postpartum or post-baby. For those who don't know what that means, it's very difficult to let them dry naturally. But I think blow dry would be optimal if possible.
Yeah, for people that don't know, hair texture definitely changes both during and after pregnancy, for what they don't tell you in the book.
For sure.
All right, lip balm or lipstick?
I like stick. I like lipstick. A little liner and stick goes a long way for me now.
Fill us in. What's your favorite go-to brand?
Probably NARS is my favorite, and Anastasia. I want to say it's called Anastasia or Anastasia. I like their lip pencils in like a taupey, rosy, mauve-y kind of area, and then I like to go over with like a pretty nudish pink and then a gloss on top. I like to layer, so I usually use 3 to achieve the color and lip combo I like.
Oh my gosh, I have to tell you that may be the most detailed lip balm and lipstick answer we've ever had.
I'm writing notes.
I never wore lipstick until like 3 or 4 years ago because I just never felt comfortable in it, and now that I'm on air for work, I have a lot of lip combos, and it's usually a triple threat. So I have some options. I'll text you guys after.
I love that. It's so good. Well, I think that's a good place to pause and for you to fill us in. What is your story of being a girl in sport?
Sure. So my name's Caley Chelios Vitale. My married name's Vitale, and I love sports. I was a 3-sport athlete in high school, a captain of all 3 sports. I ended up playing Northwestern lacrosse in college, so Division I. And at the time, they had won, I think, 6 of the last 7 championships before I got there, and then I won as a freshman. So that was an exciting start to my professional or whatever semi-professional sports career. My dad was a professional hockey player in the NHL for over 26 seasons, so I always had a love for hockey, but Northwestern lacrosse kind of brought the best of both opportunities, both academically and for sports for me. So that was the direction I ended up going. But I married a Northwestern football player. Danielle knows him very well. His name is Dan Vitale. He was a fullback at Northwestern, went on to play in the NFL for a few years after that, until we had our first baby, Bella, in 2020 during COVID, who is the same age as Danielle's daughter, Scarlett. And they're little besties. So that is kind of my trajectory in terms of where I started in high school: lacrosse, volleyball, and hockey. And then in college, I continued on playing lacrosse. And then I went on to graduate school and began a career in sports, specifically stayed in hockey again in the NHL and worked as a ringside reporter in Tampa Bay. That's where I got my start. And then from there in 2016 on, I went on to eventually do some color commentary. I became an analyst on the radio. And then I came back to Chicago as we continued to grow our family. And I now work as a Blackhawks broadcaster, and I do in-game content analysis of pregame, postgame, intermission. So I'm on live TV covering the Blackhawks with a couple colleagues, our co-hosts, and some other former players and coaches. And I do that during the regular season from September to April. Unless the Blackhawks make playoffs, then my season will be extended. But that hasn't been the case. But yeah, that's kind of my career right now. I'm a mom of 4. And I'm loving it. It is a tremendous honor and privilege. It's also extremely challenging in the best ways. And being an athlete my whole life and loving sports and kind of growing within the sports construct, I think had given me so many tools and opportunities to be able to do what I'm doing right now. And then obviously having the background of my dad being a professional athlete gave me insight and an upbringing that, I don't think I knew anything different. So I love sports. I especially love female coaches and how much the game has grown. And Anne-Marie, I hope I see you this weekend because we are planning on taking the kids to Northwestern's Final Four. They're hosting for the first time ever on Lakeside. It's one of the best ever places to be at to watch a lacrosse game. So I hope I bump into you there.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, I've got so many questions. I guess the first one is, you have 3 days to sit here and talk to me because I can pick your brain forever. Okay, the first one, we've got to go back to you being a 3-sport athlete in sport. So one of the things we're really trying to do here is educate the next generation. And one of the things that I see, so my background is actually in fitness and strength, so movement. I'm a certified personal trainer and a certified yoga coach. And one of the reasons I became so passionate and started PEAC was I noticed as more opportunities came to girls that wasn't such an easy trajectory. What I also noticed is that there was a lot more burnout. There was still a ton of dropout, and injury rates continued to actually rise, not decrease. And one of the things that I'm convinced of is that if we can keep kids, particularly girls, in a variety of sports, it helps them both mentally and physically. They don't burn out and they tend to get less injured. I'm just curious on your thoughts there.
Yes, I think that's 100% true. In terms of the injury part, I've been fortunate my whole life, knock on wood. I have never gotten a significant enough injury that required like a certain level of PT or surgery or anything. I think from the other side of it, I've definitely seen a lot of male and female athletes burn out, no question, especially when they're competitive at a young age, and playing travel and just kind of putting everything, all their eggs in one basket. I think they get to a point, especially if they're a good athlete and there's potential for them to go somewhere where they lose their love for the game a little bit. It becomes a job. Going to practice becomes a chore. And I think when you lose that, it just takes away from the entire experience in the process. And it's sad because, the dream, especially for a lot of females, is to go to college and play. And
Right.
so if they're burnt out by the time they're in high school, that becomes, it's no longer really a reality. You have to work really hard. You have to love it. You have to love the process in order to get to a Division I level, especially. And it's, for some kids, it comes easy. For some kids, they have to work harder than a lot of other people. So I loved playing 3 sports. I think in general, being on a sports team gave you a different level. If you're on different teams, you have different friends, totally different vibe and culture. Like if you're on a small volleyball team, if you're on a hockey team like I was, and I did both house, like local, and I did travel. And that's totally different. You're kind of bonded over like driving 40 minutes to the rink, dancing in the locker room before, putting on all your equipment, like throwing tape. There's just a totally different group of characters, culture, the way you get ready for practice, being on the ice, getting off. And then lacrosse, I loved, and my husband played football, and we've talked about this before, but I think if you're a really, really good athlete, like you don't necessarily have to pick up a sport from age 3 or 4 and like drill it into you until you're 18 years old.
That's what the statistics say, by the way.
Yes, yeah. You really don't. And anecdotally speaking, like if you're a good enough athlete or you work hard enough, I am convinced you will end up on the field or the ice, or you could pick it up much later and still have the same level of success. I witnessed that in college. I think one of my teammates, for example, because I was a big fish in a little pond in high school, got to college, tons of girls who grew up playing the game at 3 or 4 years old with a lacrosse stick from the East Coast, and they had some swagger, attitude. You had like Long Island, Boston, Massachusetts. It was intense. But I had one of the best draw takers in the country, and she ended up becoming a really good attacker in her junior and senior year especially, but she had never played lacrosse before high school. And she kind of jumped in. She was an All-American softball player and ended up becoming one of the most prolific draw takers in the girls' game at the NCAA level. So you do not need to sacrifice and commit with one sport to achieve success. I definitely think that injury and burnout, and especially with today's day and age with kids, how much stuff is on their mind. They're watching videos of like kids training and eating and all this kind of stuff. Like sometimes ignorance is a little bit more bliss, and you got to just go through the motions. And, I definitely would love for my kids, and I would recommend do multiple sports. You'll find out what you like, what you don't like, and it keeps you engaged with different groups of people.
Yeah. And also, I'm wondering too what you think about, so my kids actually all coach at either the collegiate or professional level. Actually, one's coaching back in high school now. But in one of the things that they talk a lot about is that when kids diversify early, or they diversify through high school, they're actually more coachable. And one of the things, and I want to talk about parents here for a minute. I know your kids are still little, but I'm wondering what your thoughts are of the over-parenting in youth sports, and I've been coaching for a long time, and it is, in my opinion, becoming extremely problematic. Kids are not only coming in with their own coaches when you're coaching a team, but they're also coming in with their parents who think they are their coaches. And to me, the kids aren't even learning to take direction, A, from somebody else, and B, there's something to be said for like getting out of your kid's way and letting them figure things out on their own. I'm just curious on your thoughts and perspective there.
Yes. So funny. I mean, yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on that. I completely agree. I think parents definitely have lost control, across all sports. In like, you have a coach, you let the coach do your job. And I can just tell, from my own experience growing up playing and watching it, like your kid doesn't necessarily, they do not want to hear you screaming on the sideline, giving them the play-by-play and the what to do, and coming over at halftime and trying to, there's like a level of like you said, let the kids do what they're going to do. Like you could have those conversations after. It does not help to hear multiple parents all screaming on the sideline, telling them what to do. and how to do it. So I definitely think that. And as a D1 athlete, I can tell you one thing that I'm really grateful for my parents was, it might sound old school. Maybe it's not conducive necessarily to certain, kids now, but that's what like the Danielles are out there for, like your mental performance coach. Like I had teammates, and we all have seen kids bring that to the college level. You can't call mom and dad and have mom and dad call your college coach and tell them that you deserve more playing time and that you've earned it and you're practicing really hard. And I think for a lot of girls whose parents, especially when they're really good athletes, have just constantly put them on a pedestal or coached them their whole life, there's no separation. And that's who they go to when times get tough or they disagree with systems and practices and something up there. Like you're on a team, you have a coach for a reason. There has to be separation. And I think that's true in youth sports too. Like my dad's dad used to get kicked out of he got kicked out of my hockey games and like my sporting events. They were Greek. They were nuts. They were like fighting with officials. Like they were out of their minds. So I think my dad took the opposite approach, and he was very quiet. And my mom, I love her to death. I don't think she knows anything about sports still. She's just not a sports girl. She's like total like deer watching, bird watching, not into sports at all. So I think that actually helped me a lot because she never lectured me in the car ride home. There was never any judgment. And I think my dad tried to just let us play and really backed off unless it was like a necessary conversation. And for me, it was great. It's like you know when to pump your kids' tires and give them confidence. And then you know when to hold them accountable, if they're, you'll know when your kid is either not trying, uninterested, or there's ways that you can give them some constructive criticism that's not just constantly coaching them, because that's not your job. You can put in extra work. You can do the little things with them. And I think being a good example, like exercising with them, doing that kind of stuff, they like to do what they see. But as far as your coaching, I totally agree. I think parents need to keep a very healthy distance at a young age and be very careful not to be their scapegoat when they don't make a team or they're not getting the play time. Like there's nothing worse than parents calling and like threatening to take their kid off the team if they're not on the first line or, in a starting role. It's crazy.
I definitely want to bring Danielle in to circle back on that mental performance piece. But before we do that, I want to pause. And again, if we're just looking at the data, when we're talking about the benefits of being a girl in sport, I mean, obviously we can talk about the physical benefits, right? Or the potential to, maybe get college paid for. But long-term benefits, the bottom line is you are not going to be a lacrosse player the rest of your life. Or, maybe in a sport like running, you can run for a longer time and maybe, you'll go into the WNBA and play for a little bit. But most of us are going to have professions and jobs outside of being an athlete. And one of the skill sets that we know girls are learning are leadership skills. And if parents are coming in and completely micromanaging, those are skill sets those girls no longer afforded the opportunity to learn. I mean, do you think there's any truth there?
Yeah, I definitely think that. And parents micromanaging, parents kind of allowing them to. Some of the best advice my dad ever gave me when I was in college, because I remember being like really embarrassed and humiliated my freshman year, not starting, not playing, and feeling super disposable on a team with so many talented players. But I remember like I just felt so embarrassed. And one thing he just said was like, and it sounds very silly, but it's just like, don't take anything so seriously. Like, why are you taking it seriously? If you're frustrated, you're stressed out about like, what's the point in being there? And for me, I think it took off the like, okay, I'm not letting my family down just because I'm not, starting. And B, it's in my hands. You control what you can control. Your parents don't get to dictate where you end up in life, let alone on the field or in your position. And that's all up to you. I think I said it earlier, but I think if you work hard enough, you're a good athlete and you make it to a certain level and you work hard enough, you will see playtime. You will see improvement. You may have to work a lot harder than other kids and girls, but you'll get there. And that may mean your diet and exercise. That may mean putting in the extra work. And for me, I think, like you said, I'm not going to go out and play professional class. That was my attitude. And I think sometimes maybe that hindered me, because I had a really great balance of having a lot of fun in college, at times maybe too much fun where I wasn't as disciplined about workouts or nutrition. But I had a really great balance. I knew this wasn't forever. I knew this wasn't going to be my whole life. And some girls, their entire life was wrapped up in the game and their playtime. And if you can't find purpose outside of that, I think it can swallow you when it gets difficult. And it did. You know, you cannot take things too seriously and work really hard and enjoy the process and love it. Or you can, you know, bring your mom and dad into it to help micromanage. You can have a bad attitude, which can spread throughout the rest of the team about why me, why me. And it's really, really hard to stay positive and push through it. It's really easy to be complacent and have a negative mindset when things aren't going your way. So the best advice I could give like young girls, especially whose parents have always been there every step of the way, is just to love the process and not take it so seriously. Like if you want to be on the field, you have to work and do everything you have to, despite the circumstances, to get on the field or on the ice. And it'll happen for you if you want it that badly. But there is life far after lacrosse. There was life before lacrosse or whatever sport you're doing. And you have to look at, you know, what kind of person and teammate do you want to be too? I had the role of being a dancer at one point. I was like the team's professional pregame dancer in the locker room. And that was the role I took on when I wasn't on the field. And it was really important. You know, like I brought the vibes. My sister 3 years later kind of brought the vibes. Like we found ways to contribute in other ways. And that's what I think a lot of girls need to understand is you're not all going to be on the field at once. You know, there's people who have to be on the bench. There's role players. And it's just a process. It's not a one day thing. You have to consistently find balance and put in the work.
And no one does that better than Kelly. It's not like she's my best friend, but the head women's lacrosse coach at Northwestern. You can tell, so amazing. You know, everything, the energy and stuff like that they bring is absolutely incredible, and that has to be so intentional.
Yes. Yeah, Kelly is amazing. She definitely was like my first taste of like accountability. Like I think being an athlete was easy for me. I loved it. I didn't really face any adversity until I got to Northwestern, and like Kelly really instilled like your mistakes or your, you know, lack of compete or urgency and lack of attention to detail, that's not just going to affect you, it's going to affect the entire team. So she really instilled like the winning culture and toughness and mental toughness, especially. She was one of the first coaches, I think, that brought it. Like at the time we were wearing like Ronda Rousey t-shirts and we were in boxing rings. We were meditating at Lakeside. Like I still to this day, I'm not good at meditating. But that was a whole new, the mental side of it. We did judo in the men's Northwestern wrestling ring. There was a whole component of, you know, the mental side of it, because that was so important and is so important now, that she was ahead of the curve with at that time. She was always trying to think of what can we do to be more competitive? How can I get that extra edge? And she went through some ups and downs herself in her career there. And I think we were there at such a unique time of like a dynasty era, but also other teams were getting really good and competitive. You know, she had other former players that were coaching around the league and competing against her well. And so we were fighting really hard to maintain, you know, top status, but it took a lot of work to do that. And she was so competitive. No coach, I've never had a coach that hated to lose more than Kelly Monty. And to this day, I mean, I thank her for so many important things that I learned about accountability, teammates, and, you know, that whole, you know, winning culture versus kind of like self-talk and all of that. It's still applicable today.
Yeah, I think you're right. So she really knows how to speak potential into other women, which is like, that's part of a coach's job, right? Danielle,
Yeah.
like you have, I know that like we've been talking quite a bit about mental performance. Like, what do you have to fill in here questions for Caley?
Yeah, I really appreciate what you shared, Caley, about your entrance as a freshman onto Northwestern's team, that before you had arrived, 6 out of the 7 years, they had already won championships. And to hear your account of how not only did your coach keep you accountable and help bring you into the potential that served you on the team and served your team of how your role was is if you were humbled by that experience, but you didn't let that bring you down. You used your dad's, wisdom and advice as you saw fit. Like hey, do we really need to take this so seriously? Do we really need to let this suck all the joy out? And I love how you applied that and was able to flip a switch and figure out how you were going to make sense of having fun, having a place on the team and, being important in the era of that team that it was. Because every team is unique. Every season, it's a new team. And you found your way to navigate that. And I think that is really a testament to your mental performance and how you flipped your thinking to make sense of the environment. And I think as high schoolers, a lot of us tend to be big fish in small ponds, just the nature of a town. And when we go to college, there's a lot of big fish we start swimming with that are around us. And so it can be really daunting. And I love how you did that dance and you didn't throw in the towel and you kept your head on, but you also kept it, screwed loose enough where you can still enjoy what else there was to be offered to you in college. And I think when we can have that life balance, anecdotally, yes, that brings more joy, but the research says so too. And, speaking back to what you both were talking about with you being a 3-sport athlete, yes, the research there shows the professional athletes that are going to be the top 2%, they're actually not the ones that were in regimented, organized sports alter their youth. It is literally the opposite. And we can see that when we foster the love for our body's sense of movement and interplay with nature and just getting different skill sets through other ways, we don't have to be so rigid on what we think is the only way to find success in whatever avenue of our, athletic career we want to find. So I just wanted to ask you, when you joined that team as a freshman, they've already won 6 out of 7 championships. What do you think you had to get right rather quickly in a very specific way? What were some tips that you can share with our listeners that may work for someone else when there's that culture shock?
Oh gosh, definitely follow the program in the off season, the workout program. I remember, again, I was naturally very strong. I was always, the best on my team, if not one of the best. But I mean, definitely, I was big fish, small pond for sure. So I'm looking at the workouts even the summer before, and I know this sounds crazy, especially for you guys and Danielle being a runner. I had never run 2 miles in my life. I hated running long distance. It was not for me. I was like, no thanks, boring.
Yeah.
I'm never going to run 2 miles straight in a game. I'm all about explosive quickness, which is a very important skill set to have too. But I think I was humbled in that, I just kind of thought it was going to happen. I was going to show up and I was going to have success. It was going to be fun. I'd be competing against best on best, but there's so many other factors when you get there. Other girls have been training, and even if you're, you could be in the best shape and still not play on the field, but you need every edge to give yourself a chance. And I think that's what was so cool about these girls who were there. You could tell they had this confidence, some of them arrogance, some of them just a swagger, because they were on some of the best teams in the country and they were the best players on those teams. So they came in with an edge about them, and they knew how much harder you had to work. I think I hadn't had any adversity, which maybe hurt me a little bit my freshman year. And no matter how much my dad told me to get in shape, that was what he did all growing up. And to get to where he is, he wasn't the best, but he was in the best shape. He worked really hard and he tried to give himself every edge he could if he wasn't the most skilled or the biggest or the toughest player. And so for me, I think I brought a lot of toughness, but I lacked some discipline in running. Lacrosse and soccer, you have to be in good running shape unless you're an attacker. And I think diet is a really big component of it too, eating pizzas and not really caring because it was never an issue before. You've got to really take care of your body and nourish it. And if that's the extra edge you need, I needed to do all of that to stay as competitive as possible. So for me, looking at other girls, it's I think just don't underestimate what you're getting into. get ahead of it, get that extra edge, work out more, and enjoy it. Don't look at it as a chore. I thought running was the worst thing ever. When we had to run a 6 minute mile, I was like, oh, I'm not doing that. Like, no chance. I'll play it cool and I'll figure out how to eventually get there. And I could not run the mile all summer. Like, I ran 2 laps around the track and then I'd stop. It just was like the biggest mental wall for me. And then I showed up and it was, again, it's all mental. I'm like all or nothing. That's just how I am always. And I was all heart because I couldn't like get myself to do it in the summer. I ended up passing it, but like by the skin of my teeth. My coach was shocked. It was insane. The entire team like picked me up like I was Rudy because it was so shocking to see me get through that finish line and hit the time. And if I had just had a little bit more discipline and consistency before, like, hey, this isn't just going to happen. You're going to have to earn it. I think it would have made things easier for me. The better shape you can be in, the stronger, you can control all of that. And so for me, that was one thing I wish coming into a college with a bunch of really great kids. Like, it's going to be fun. It's going to be hard. It's going to be exciting. But if you can give yourself the edge of what you can control going into it ahead of everyone, it's like you're going to give yourself so much confidence and you're going to feel like you can beat everybody. Like, you don't have to be the most skilled if you can run faster up the field or have that extra like 2 minutes of stamina that somebody else doesn't. And that's all in your control.
Yeah, it's interesting because this gets to be a super busy time for me because my collegiate athletes are coming home and they do take that summer training seriously now. And it's nice to see because then they go into their soccer seasons or their lacrosse seasons or their running seasons at the collegiate level, and they're kind of prepared. I would love to just switch gears here just a little because one of the things, and again, we've talked about it a little, is the opportunity for leadership development through athletics. And you certainly have taken the opportunities that you had through sport and made a career, not only of sport, but you're in a environment where you've got to be one of the only women with a seat at the table. And I'm just curious, like, what's that like? And for other women who want to enter careers where there may not be a ton of people that look like them, tell us how you had the confidence to be able to take a leap of faith and step in and do an incredible job with the Blackhawks. And you're also on the Big Ten Network, right? Do you not cover lacrosse?
Yep.
On the Big Ten? That's what. See, I knew that. I knew I had seen you before. I don't watch a ton of hockey. I'm going to be honest, but I knew
I've done some women's lacrosse on the Big Ten Network, actually.
Yeah, so I knew I had seen you on there. But so let us know there. What are some, like, was it scary? Do you feel confident now? What's it like to have a seat on the table? Let us know.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good question. And I think it's ironic because I feel like getting to college was maybe the first time I ever lost my confidence and self-esteem for the first time. And that's the first time I started really thinking about what I'm doing and not just doing it and worrying about, all the things that I'm not doing right or I'm not good enough and all that. That started to weigh on me in college. And I think it took a long time for me to try to get that back. And it carried over into like when I was a ringside reporter. So I think the confidence thing comes from I've always wanted to, I wanted to do journalism. I wanted to be a broadcaster. I always wanted to do hockey though. Like, I love the sport. I love watching it. I grew up watching my dad. I grew up going to my brother's collegiate games and professional games. And I listened to my dad and I listened to his teammates my whole life talk about the game. So one thing I think that gave me confidence was I thought I knew the game really, really well. And my dad was really blunt, honest, direct. Like, anything I ever had a question on or when we were watching my brothers, he would just point out every little thing. And I felt like it helped really shape my mind. And so when I was in Tampa Bay and I was doing ringside, I loved the role. I loved storytelling. And it was fun, but I definitely wanted to be able to talk. And I was like, everyone wanted to be Erin Andrews in college. Erin Andrews is fantastic. She's one of the best at what she does, so professional. And she actually started as a ringside reporter in Tampa Bay. So she had reached out to me and was super nice. And loved my experience, like all the experiences I had with her talking about it. But anyway, sorry, I go on so many tangents. I think the confidence definitely came from knowing the game. I think what was really scary was there was literally not a woman who was listed as like an analyst. There were a couple Canadian former Team Canada players, and AJ Maleska was one of the only like Team USA former player who had taken a break when she had kids and come back into broadcasting. There were no analysts. There were 0 radio analysts that were women. And I got lucky in that in Tampa Bay, there was a seat open on the road. I traveled to all 41 games on the road for the Lightning at the time. And I asked if I could join the radio booth with the play-by-play commentator. His name was Dave Mishkin. He went to Yale. He was brilliant, had a background in theater, and he ended up going in the direction of doing play-by-play. And he was like my biggest, like, helped me get my confidence back, helped me believe in myself, and helped me not believe that just because I'm a woman and a girl that I don't belong here. It just didn't even occur to him, and talking to a guy in hockey, let alone in sports, that he looked confused almost why I was so insecure about having my voice heard on the radio in that, no one else was there. I had no one to like try to emulate. So, I mean, he was just so cool. He just gave me so much confidence that way. I was like, why not? If I stink, I stink, whatever. I can only go up, I hope. And I just kept working at it. And I really think for women who I looked up to that were older than me and established in so many ways, I think they were even like, all right, like, I just started noticing titles changing, like more women instead of like rink side or sideline, it said analyst. And it's like, they're around the game. They've sacrificed so much of their personal life to be around the game and follow these teams and players. Like, they've earned it, and if they do their homework and they know what they're talking about, like, it's not just former players. A lot of former players in the new day and age, like, they made a lot of money. They can retire. They don't want to come back and commentate. There's a lot of room for different voices and people. When you look around the NBA and Sports Center, there's a lot of people that aren't former players that like fans just resonate with, that love talking about the game with them. Why not female? Why not me? I don't think I ever felt entitled to anything. I just was hoping. And I think that level of curiosity and ambition to want to do more opened up the opportunity with the Blackhawks. I don't think I ever would have got that opportunity in the role I am now had I not taken a chance, put myself out there, taken a lot of criticism from hockey fans and whoever for, being inexperienced and not having a, typical voice. And had I not done that and been uncomfortable and worked towards that, I probably wouldn't be where I am now. For sure wouldn't be there. And they took a chance on me and gave me an opportunity, and I'm just trying to run with it.
Yeah, a couple things I want to put a pin in here. So I love that you talked about Erin Andrews reaching out to you. Like, I think that's one thing we can continue to do incredibly as women is to reach back and give the next person a hand. There's enough room at top for all of us. I mean, this is not a pie. We're not slicing out. Like, there's room up there for everybody. And when we're building culture, that's what it starts with. We want to make sure that we are giving to the next generation and we're celebrating the generation that came before us. So I think that's super important. The other thing you talked about is asking for what you want. Like, and it's okay if someone says no, but if you don't take the leap of faith and be confident enough that you can take the no and the rejection, and that's what it goes back to youth sports. If we're not teaching kids how to be rejected, they are not going to make it in the real world, period. Because no one's going to take that chance if they're too afraid to get a no. And the other thing is that you realize you don't have to show up perfect. You just need to show up. So I think that there's so many really good lessons there that are, I just think if we all took a pause and realized that sport, I think, is the best teacher out there. It teaches confidence and humility, and it teaches showing up and all of the things. I know we talk about the sport and the things that make you good in sport, which is, being fit and the nutrition and the sleep and all that other stuff. But what you get in return is so much bigger than that. I don't know. I can feel it and hear it in your voice. And I really hope that, and I think it's okay that you went through a period where you weren't confident, because I think that was a necessary part of your journey. I think had you not done that, you wouldn't have had the opportunity to rebuild and get some calluses on you, which I think are super important.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're going to get cooled down in a minute here, but Danielle, I just wanted to see if you wanted to flush through anything before we did that.
Yes, I really wrote down something very important, Caley, that you had said. And that is the statement you said, why not me? And I don't know if you both ladies know about Rachel Endricken right now, who just became the first woman recently, like in the last week, to win the Cocodona 250, which is a 253-mile ultra marathon. She's the first woman ever. She literally found herself in the front of this long race. I forget how many hours. She already shattered a 50.
We have to pause because people need to know that she wasn't racing against other women. She was racing against every woman in the race.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That's
literally
insane.
Everyone. But that is very important. That is the point of why this is so solid, is when she found herself leading way earlier than she ever anticipated she would. She got really freaked out and was like, what am I doing? Am I going to mess this up? Like, I'm going to burn out. Why is there really, essentially, why am I the woman up here? Why are there no men? What's this? What's that? And she flipped it. And she said for the rest of the race, she just kept repeating, why not me? Why not me? If someone's going to win this, why not me? And I think that's really a valuable statement that you said you used to really change the narrative, open the scope of what's possible, and really essentially demand from the universe, like, it can be me. It actually can be me. And let me see with my actions moving forward, my skill set, my people skills, my life lessons, like, how can I put them to play so that I can have a seat? And I think, Anne-Marie, you said it beautifully, when women help other women, we build each other up. More women win. And I personally and professionally do believe there is enough success for all of us. And I think when you can surround yourself by those mentors that are not jealous, they're wanting the best for you, they're wanting more, you end up finding your avenue of, like, it can be you. And I love how you created that for yourself, Caley.
Thank you. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but it was kind of like, again, you put yourself out there, and like to your point, Anne-Marie, too, of you have to be okay with being uncomfortable and going through criticism, personally and from other people. You just have to be okay with it and believe in yourself enough to keep going. If you're passionate about something and you want something, you have to just go for it and have a little bit of tunnel vision in that regard. Because if you're calling your parents or you're quitting, at the first sign of being uncomfortable, like, you're just teaching yourself that all those feelings can just go away if you quit and you stop. And it's a terrible habit. Right now I have 4 kids. I'm working full time. Like, I used to think, okay, I'm not going to have kids until after I'm done working. It's not, how could I do both? And right now I'm like probably the most confident I've ever been, probably the least patient I've ever been, or maybe the most. I don't know. It might be better for you to answer, Danielle, with like having kids and trying to balance it all. But I feel like I'm living a life I told myself wasn't going to happen, and I'm so grateful for it. But it's because I made myself so uncomfortable, and I sacrificed, and I was willing to do what I had to do to get to where I want to do to some degree. Now, I understand too, like, being a Nepo baby, my dad, his name and just the opportunities that afforded me too. But I had to still work. Like, I never would be where I am right now as an analyst. And now I'm seeing the women before me who I looked up to even get me into journalism. They put in 30, 40 years in this industry and never got that opportunity. And like, I just was really grateful that I came up in a time where they kind of ran so I could walk, and they paved the way. And now I'm seeing younger girls than me in college, in high school, that are ready to do play-by-play color, do all the leading roles in a game that are typically always men. And I can only imagine how great the pool of young women are going to be down the road in journalism, because they're seeing other women doing it and doing it to the best they can. And they're going to know what it's going to take too. It's really cool.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So I'm I'm quite a bit older than both of you, and it was not easy. Title IX had just come into existence, and I still think that we have a long way to go, but I do also like to stop and celebrate how far we have come, and it's because people who are willing to take a chance. And I want to ask about something else that you said, and this is something that I believe, and you don't have to believe it, but I'm curious about it, is that what was pivotal for me, because I also have 5 children and worked full time, and I realized I could not have it all. Like, balance was not something I could go after. There were seasons of my life where I was going to have more time at work, and there were seasons in my life where I was going to have more time at home. And the reality is my kids did go to daycare, like couldn't work if somebody else wasn't taking care of my kids. And so I think just letting go of some of that. And I'm just curious, do you think balance is something that is achievable, or do you think it's something you have to let go of?
No, I'm with you. I think balance was the wrong word. You're right. I think you got to let it go. Like, if you, or you have to accept, like, that if I am going to, if I'm going to kill it at my job and I want to do that right now and do really well, like, it's going to take a hit somewhere else. And the thing about my job is I work nights, but a lot of the work that I need to do is like in the mornings and away from the rink, like talking to players and all that sort of stuff. So it's kind of like double duty. And no, I agree. I think you have to let it go and you have to do what feels right. If being a mom and your kids and everything, if you're needed the most there, then you dedicate your time there. If you have the ability to put more effort and work at your job and you find purpose in achieving more, then your priority is going to be your job, and you have to just let somebody else take care of your kids when you're not there. And that's really hard. I micromanage. I'm pretty controlling, and I like to have my cake and eat it too. I'll bring kids to the rink with me and try to find a babysitter. The mom guilt is so hard, but it ultimately ends up hurting you because you're trying to do everything as good as you can, be a great wife, and manage the house and you really can't balance all of it. It's impossible. So you have to pick your spots, try to stay organized, and do what feels right in the moment and find what gives you purpose. And if you're happy with that, then I think that's all you can ask for. If you want more, like, you have to find a good partner in life that can help you tag team it.
Yeah, I think that's true. Danielle, what else do you have before we get cooled down?
I was just going to piggyback that I also dislike the word balance for just about every human. I think the appropriate word is juggle, because I do believe we can have it all. We just can't have it all at one time. And I think to your point, Emery, there's different seasons when we're doing more of one thing versus the other. But to know that is to practice more self-awareness and to be honest with ourselves and to delegate and know that it's going to be okay. That, even as an athlete, for those of you who are listening, or even coaches on here who are listening, to notice that priorities can shift and they wax and wane, but your priorities, your values don't go away, but they can change, and that's okay. And allow that to be true, allow that to change, allows you to not burn out yourself as an athlete or as a coach. And so that you can get to keep exploring who you are and continue to grow into what, you didn't even know was coming next. Because when we stay so fixed and what we think we have to be about, we're missing the boat on what else is next available for us to receive.
Agreed. All right, Caley, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you being here. I honestly could talk to you for another 3 hours. So this has been a complete joy and pleasure. And I've taken 3 pages of notes, and I can't wait to go back and re-listen to the episode. I can tell that it is going to be one of my most favorite and cherished ones. So thank you so much for that. So here is the final hard-hitting questions we have for you. If you were having a dinner party, who are 5 people that would be included in the invitation?
Oh my gosh, crazy. Alive? Everybody's alive?
It doesn't have to be. It's your life. We're just living in it.
Okay. I probably invite Justin Bieber. I'm a believer, big Bieber fan. So he would definitely be seated next to me. If I'm gonna stay sports, so I love tennis. I go Roger Federer. He's one of my favorite athletes.
Nice.
In tennis, I'll keep it tennis again and go Serena Williams on the other side of that. I'll invite both of you. I'll have you two. So what do we have? 4, 5. Okay, one other one I'd probably throw in there. I'm a huge music person. I'm one of those people where like a song comes on and I feel like my dopamine and everything just surges. So I'd have to put another musician probably besides Justin Bieber, and I might, oh gosh, I don't know. I might have to go like Elvis or something just to,
Love it.
I don't know.
Set the date. We'll be there.
Okay, we're all going to be
Okay,
there.
I'm going to ask you what you're serving, but before we do that, what major tennis tournaments have you been to? Any?
No, it's on my list. I would love to go to the French Open. However, the US Open is a little bit more feasible for me. And so that's one I talked about with my husband. I'd love to go see the US Open at some point.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be super easy. You fly in and the courts are like literally right there, right?
Yes. And New York City, we love New York. So I would love to do the US Open if I could.
Absolutely. So we were in our oldest coach's professional basketball. He's in Australia right now. And so we were there for a couple weeks visiting, and we literally were there as because they play right where the Australian Open is. And so they were getting everything set up, but we left 2 days before the tournament started. Ugh.
Oh no, that would have been incredible.
Next time I'm like for sure going over winter break, but I've got to figure it out around this job thing. See if balance from
Juggle.
Juggle it up.
Serving at your dinner party.
Oh, my most well-liked dish that I make myself, that's a family recipe, is probably this Greek pasta dish. It's called hilopita. So I'm probably making like a Greek pasta dish, Greek salad, potatoes, like pea potatoes in the oven. And then a ton of fruit and a chocolate cake with white buttercream frosting for dessert.
Oh, I'm so in. I'm so glad I'm in. Okay,
Very specific.
Go back to the Greek salad, which is my favorite food. But okay, do you make your own dressing?
I do.
Okay, fill me in. What's the recipe?
Okay, so my mom does the exact measurements. I'm a viber. I think I mentioned that earlier. I kind of vibe out. But she usually does like a 1/4 cup of olive oil, like essentially 3 tablespoons of red wine vinegar, a teaspoon of mustard so that I forget what the word is, but it doesn't separate. Emulsify it, and then put in like a teaspoon of oregano, a teaspoon of salt, and you mix it all together. Sometimes you could press some garlic in there if you are feeling that. But otherwise, I kind of like toss and put in the olive oil as I enjoy. And then I'll do the same thing with the red wine vinegar. I'm a little more on the saltier side. And then I just keep tossing the salad as I'm putting in the ingredients. And then I taste test it.
Oh my God.
So there's a couple different styles. They actually weirdly do taste different, but I like both of them.
They do. It's the way foods come together. I know. I studied food science. So like I got the word emulsify for you.
Yes. Emulsify, I think, is key if you're not, unless you're like freewheeling like I am, but you have to be tossing it at like kind of a rapid rate.
All right.
I'm salivating right now.
Really good wrist, like strong wrists and strong biceps for that.
Yes, I feel like my forearms are killer from all these car seats right now. So I have no doubt I can rip it up in a salad bowl because they are just keeping my arms in great shape.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh. All right. I hope everyone stayed on till the end because this may have been my favorite cool down ever.
For sure.
So I'm going home actually I'm not going home. I am home and I'm so like putting together this, salad dressing because I always struggle with salad dressing. But
everyone does. It's a thing.
It's a thing. I know. And there's no good salad dressings on the market.
No, there's not. I know. The dressing is key. So let me know which direction you ended up going. But people love my mom's. I love my mom's, but I've gotten like different feedback from both because they weirdly taste different. So let me know what you decide.
For everybody who is tuned in, we hope that you learned something from this episode. We are so excited to make sure we are bringing you accurate and up-to-date information on sports performance, mental performance, nutrition, all things that make you an exceptional girl, and sport. Make sure if you love this episode as much as we hope you did, you are sharing with a female athlete or coach you love. Until next time.